gummy bear.
It's the internet, you're busy, let's do this. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, there is a Nintendo Direct coming very soon. Sony is piling up a mess of news for next week. We're going to talk about that. And Pac-Man has had his wife taken away. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Mike Minotti, everybody. Woo! Mike,
I'm here.
Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, I don't have to work today. How can I not be good, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. So you have the today off? That's interesting.
Yes.
Man, apparently I made a mistake. I don't get today off. I have to work, so.
Wow. You know, Jeff, you're always welcome back over at GameSpeak. I was going to slash that salary by half probably, because I think I'm taking some of that now. But hey.
When I texted you this morning, I was like, hey, Mike, do you want to work today? Where you're like, oh, man.
Jeff, it's never work when I'm with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. This is a show where we talk about the news each weekday. I, Jeff Grubb, will help you piece your gaming life back together. That includes the breaking news, the catch-up, where we discuss the big stories of the day, and maybe some of our own original reporting from GameSpot, or if I want to bring something. For all these topics, I will get the input of a bona fide expert or Mike Minotti, who will join me to make me look smarter.
Wow.
Today, we got a bunch of news. We got a whole mess of stuff that happened over the weekend and some stuff this morning, including starting with a Nintendo Direct getting announced. Mike, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is getting... Yeah, did you not see this?
No!
Xenoblade Chronicles 3... This is great. Oh, yeah, just coming fresh. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is getting a 20-minute showcase on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, so hey, a Nintendo Direct got announced. It's not the big one later this month that we still think might maybe happen, but this is in line with what I've been hearing for a while now, that they are planning on doing a series of smaller things throughout this month and later this month. And it seems like they're starting with this. I suppose, do you think this means like the one later this month might be a Nintendo Direct Mini, or does this change what your expectations for that? Hello, Penny.
Yeah, there's Penny. She's upset. She's furious that she found out they're finally announced a Nintendo Direct, and it's just for some weeb game.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
I think that maybe this 29th one, and I think there is something happening on 29th. I think it may also be a one-game affair. We heard before at some point that we might get a bunch of smaller Direct things, right?
Yes.
And I know everybody wants the big like E3 style Nintendo showcase. Maybe that's not happening. I know I think I said on our show, Jeff, that I was confident something was going to happen from Nintendo this month now. And I still actually think there's more than just this.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I do want to maybe set expectations that it might not be the thing where we announce Super Mario Odyssey 2, right?
Right. I mean, it's so hard to pin these things down because Nintendo does have a variety. Like, it's easy to start hearing about a show and then be like, well, that's the Direct. But even when I've had that before, it was like a mini Direct. And then there's also partner showcases they were doing for a while. And maybe something like that could still happen. We've said before, they have a lot of games already announced for later this year. That's, still the case. There are some things that we probably do still need to hear about for sure. When's Advance Wars coming, for example, and Metroid Prime Remaster, which we continue to think probably is coming pretty soon. At least I do still think that's probably coming in November. They do need to announce that, but they also, Xenoblade Chronicles is coming very soon. It's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 launches July 29th. So that's next month. They have to sell this game first before they even it seems like before they start talking about a lot of stuff that's coming afterward. That seems to be their first concern.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of next to bat, as they say, right? So, it does make sense. And again, there's going to be more from Nintendo this month aside from this, but how much more is the question? And look, it's a long summer. It's not like there's some cop saying Nintendo you got to do your big E3 thing by the end of this month. It could just be in July.
Right. And we'll talk about the treasure thing here in the catch up a little bit, but there's other things that could fit into a Direct that are coming up. But that's all circumstantial evidence. It's hard to pin this down and what does that mean? And honestly, the treasure thing could just happen anywhere. So,
sure.
So we'll see. Let's see. The next story here is they took Pac-Man's wife. I just use this as an excuse to talk about these two stories. Let's see here. Let me transition over here real quick. But first, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I actually never can remember how to say that name exactly. Is it Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles?
Gosh, what is the official word for it? Because it's not like it was ever one single commercial product before.
Right,
I always
yes.
say Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, or whatever it's called, is what I have written here. It's going to have to change its music because Sega didn't originally credit Michael Jackson, and instead of figuring that out, they're just going to like rework that music. They talked about this a little bit ago, but that brought up this comic that we need to talk about. And the internet's very upset about this, where Sonic says, copyright messed with your collection too, huh? That sucks. I had to give up a few songs to get Sonic 3 re-released. Lame, right? What did you lose, Pac? And then Pac says, they took my wife.
That's pretty good.
That's Miss Pac-Man. That whole mess with Miss Pac-Man and that. Well, first of all, it's not a very good collection, but then also just the mess with Miss Pac-Man and them never being able to figure that out is. Yeah, poor Pac-Man.
A lot of people like that collection. I mean, it is just a bunch of old Pac-Man games. I like Pac-Man fine, but I could probably play a satisfying enough game of Pac-Man in my browser.
Right. Yes. Maybe it was the people I was seeing that were playing on Switch that didn't like it, but the people playing on Switch seem to have some issues with it. So
yeah. So I don't know. Some people seem really upset about this Sonic 3 thing. I mean, the Michael Jackson thing is a mess, and it's also not. My understanding, and maybe I'm not 100% correct on this, it's not a lot of the songs, because I think there was already some kind of PC port where they changed some of the music already, which kind of gave people their first idea of what songs it was that Michael Jackson worked on. So, like, there's like that mid-boss song where like they literally make the Michael Jackson noises, even, right? So it's like, okay, yes, that one was one of them, and a couple other things. I don't know. Is that a hot take if I said that Sonic 3 had the worst soundtrack out of those 4 games in the Sonic Origins collection anyways?
No,
I'm not
probably not.
worried about it.
No, because like the music that gets sampled in hip hop or whatever from the Sonic series, it's never those tracks. It's Sonic 1 and 2 usually.
Yeah. Sonic CD has 2 good soundtracks. I was thinking about this last night for no particular reason, sure. And I was wondering, like, man, maybe Sonic CD is the answer when people say what game has the best music ever, because it has an English soundtrack and a Japanese soundtrack, and they're both just incredible somehow. You can pick either one, and it's great. Sonic 3 is fine. The only song from that I really like a lot is Sky Sanctuary, which is more of a Sonic and Knuckles thing, anyways, and I think that one is fine. So. I don't know. Like, people are, of course, going to get upset about it, and I understand. And look, maybe I'll hear it, and like when the new song comes up, it's going to sound like me with my tin whistle, and it's going to be terrible.
I think it's beautiful. I think your tin whistle is beautiful, Mike.
Thank you. Yeah, this doesn't bother me particularly. Again, it's a lot worse than we have to change it. Miss Pac-Man. We don't have Miss Pac-Man anymore. Yeah, Pac-Man absolutely has it rougher.
Yeah, and with Sonic, it's like those songs still are there. You just go listen. You go get the ROM.
Sure.
And go experience it that way. And now they're doing something new and different. Maybe it'll be good. Probably not, but maybe it'll be good.
It'll probably, at worst, it'll be slightly worse for a little bit of time.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. Skull and Bones release finally looks likely following second rating board listing. This is by Andy Robinson at VGC. Let's see. I just want to bring this up real quick so you can take a look at this listing because it's important because finally they listed some consoles here. So previously this was rated in South Korea. This time it's been rated in Brazil. And this rating now lists it for PC, Google Stadia, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. The South Korean listing was just for PC. This one does list the consoles, Mike, but not for Xbox One or PlayStation 4. I suppose Skull and Bones, just too much for those systems. Is that what you're thinking?
Right, it's too next gen. We're lucky we can even run it on these things. We're lucky we don't have to wait till the PlayStation 7.
Yes.
Yeah, or PlayStation 9, the one that's going to be the Orb.
The Orb, yes.
Commercial. Yeah, the Orb system, yeah. Man, I don't know. It's weird imagining this game actually coming out. It's weirder imagining it coming out and always being like, wow, this was really good and worth the wait.
Yeah, God, it really does feel like they're just shooting this one out to get it out, right? Like they're just...
Like a cannon?
Yeah, like a cannon, exactly. They're just loading whatever they can into the cannon and firing it and hoping for the best. I don't know. This is one that it's made by Ubisoft Singapore. They took some money from the government there in Singapore to make this game, and it was under the condition that something actually shipped. And so something's shipping, and again, ship, another pun there, Mike. So if you want to comment on that one as well, ships and cannons.
I was just going to silently be proud of you.
Thank you. Yes. So that one's, so they're going to ship something. My guess here is this thing is going to come out. People are going to be like, what? I mean, I guess it's okay. And then forget about it forever immediately.
It's too bad because it sure was the easiest thing in the world to just be like, Assassin's Creed 4 is good.
Right.
Let's just make another one of those, but not Assassin's Creed game, but just a pirate game like that. And I don't know, they second guess themselves a million times about, well, should it be multiplayer? Should it even have on foot stuff? Should it be live service? And again, we really probably, it just needed Assassin's Creed 4 2 with like less crap about a backstory where ancient gods created humans and there's a lot of orbs everywhere.
Right. Yes. It's I remember at the time it got announced and we were all like, oh, well, this is going to be the thing that easily just kills Sea of Thieves. This is the thing Sea of Thieves wishes it was. And then like a month later, Sea of Thieves broke out.
Did you say Sea of Weebs?
I think I said Sea of Weebs.
Sea of Weebs. Oh my God.
They're always on my brain. Sea of
what
Weebs
a game that would be.
Yes, that's I need a mod immediately. Oh, Jesus. That like a month later, that game broke out again after like its initial breakout, and then has only grown ever since, and is like this very specific like Twitch thing and this multiplayer fun playground thing, and knows exactly what it is and is playing to that audience. And then this game just fell apart like at the same time. Someone somewhere just like made some curse happen, and the fate of these two games swapped immediately. I think this is just going to come out and fizzle out, and we're going to forget about it.
There sure have been a lot of projects going bad at Ubisoft lately. There's that, Beyond Good and Evil 2 for 2 decades now. Prince of Persia, which like got moved over and apparently is in trouble again. Like maybe development on that didn't just get restarted. Like maybe it got driven to the ground. I don't know. Yeah,
I have some like Ubisoft like rumors that I'm trying to like track down and make sure that they're correct. So if anyone has any insight on Ubisoft and wants to reach out to me, like definitely DM me on Twitter.
I have insight.
Well, I mean, do you know?
I got insight.
Here, I'll just show you this stuff. Okay, is that real? Yes or no?
Oh, okay. I was watching the live feed.
No, I'm not really saying anything. Just say yes, and then we'll just pretend.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Jeff, you did it.
There's like
you nailed it again. Another Jeff Grubb classic.
Another W. It's a bunch of Assassin's Creed rumors that I think they sound real to me, but if I can track that stuff down, maybe I'll bring it to a show later this week. But it's like, okay, a lot of stuff makes sense based on how quiet they've been, and they're going to reintroduce a lot of this stuff. And they said they're going to do Assassin's Creed announcements in September. So yeah, we're kind of waiting to see if like the immediate future of Assassin's Creed is something anyone cares about, because there's a lot of reasons to suppose that they won't. Because they're going to do the Assassin's Creed live service game, the big one, but in between that and now, right? Yes, and between that and and today, they are apparently working on some big expansion that they're turning into like for Valhalla. They're turning that into a standalone game, and so it's like, okay, that doesn't sound promising. So yeah,
if only they had some video presentation they made us all watch where they could have announced these things.
Yes, chat says Assassin's Creed Cleveland. I think that sounds like a great idea.
You all don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's right. That's too good for you people.
Climbing up Tower City.
Yeah.
Oh man,
the 2 buildings in Cleveland. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great.
Come and see both of our buildings. Sorry, that song is in my head ever since I moved here. All right, let's see. Dragon's Dogma has hit its highest player count in 6 years, following sequel news and discount. And this one's by Jordan Midler at VGC. According to Steam database, as spotted by Benji Sales. Hello, Benji. The game, which was first released in January 2016, hit a peak concurrent player count of 6,582 on Sunday, a number which it has only ever surpassed during the release month of the game. This number is similar to that of recent releases such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which managed 6,599 concurrent players on Steam during the same 24-hour period. Really, I'm bringing this up because it's like, okay, it does seem like there's a possibility for games like this that have built a little bit of a cult following to build even more of one once gamers know that a series has a future. But also, have you ever played Dragon's Dogma? And if not, are you going to go try it now?
I'm actually going to buy it right now live because I did hear about this. And the other part of the reason is because it's on sale for 84% off. So it's $480 right now. And it's like, yes, Yeah, I should play this game. I know people do like a lot. This is one of those weird games where people talked much more positively about it years after it came
Yes.
out than when it first came out, it feels like.
Yeah, there was a
Which is
few
almost more
champions at the
exciting.
time. I think I remember, even at the time, like Austin Walker and Justin McElroy, like really liking it. And people saying it's like a Japanese Skyrim, and I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. And then I think I tried it like a little bit at the time, and then a little bit more when it came to Switch, and just couldn't immediately get into it. And was like, there's a bunch of other stuff coming out. I think now is the time with the Steam Deck. I'm going to get into this.
I'm a Q3 Steam Deck guy, so hopefully Mike comes in. I'll buy it now, so when I get the Steam Deck, I can play it. I have no idea how the Switch version runs. I don't know if it's
It's
also
okay.
on sale.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I wonder if that is on sale as well. But yeah, it's fine. It runs fine. It's 30 frames per second.
Fine's not good enough for Mikey.
Let's see. It was a 2016 game, so it's like, yeah, it should run fine on the Switch. And it does. It was from what I played.
Sure. Apparently Final Fantasy VII Remake runs well on the Switch, so I assume Dragon's Dogma does all right.
Unreal Engine games should usually be able to scale down real well. So Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Switch, or not remake, but what is that? That's Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core is what we're talking about, not remake.
Crisis Core is coming to Switch, which I was thinking about that and getting kind of mad that we might get Crisis Core on Switch before we get Final Fantasy VI on Switch. But
yes.
Hey, there we are.
They still haven't announced those, but I suppose that's the kind of thing that maybe could happen at a later direct this year. Let's see. 2 hot games have a secret Google connection. This is by Steven Totillo at Axios. And if you haven't caught up with Axios, everybody, they're doing good work over there. Let's see. Steven writes, Google was involved in the creation of 2 notable video games in the spotlight this month, before the downsizing of its Stadia gaming operation sent those 2 projects elsewhere. This is according to 2 sources familiar with their development that told Axios the stuff. See, the game's Google connections help fill out a picture of what Stadia could have offered if Google hadn't abandoned its ambitions in 2021 to create a gaming platform to rival PlayStation and Xbox. Neither of the games, the well-reviewed horror adventure The Quarry and comedic sci-fi game High on Life, has been officially associated with Stadia. The Quarry was developed by Supermassive, published by Take-Two Interactive, and it was released on June 10th for PC and PlayStation Xbox. High on Life is from Squanch Games, led by Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland. Sources tell Axios that both games were projects that previously were being made for Google specifically, and they were going to be presented as signature Stadia releases, and it was meant to draw players to the service. But eventually, those deals obviously went nowhere. The games were still in development. These games, they went out and the developers went out and found other partners. And in the Quarry's case, it was like, hey, Take-Two, we need a publisher, and Take-Two stepped in. Mike, do you think there's a future, a better alternate reality where Stadia was funding games like this, and we were getting many more first-party games from Google? That was a better world than what we have now.
A better might be pushing it. It'd be a different world.
Right.
That's for sure. Man, when you say that, High on Life has so much funded by Google Energy, not you say it. I don't even know what I mean by that.
I think I get it.
I'm not down on that game like you are. I kind of think it might be fun, but it definitely has that, like, this may have been a Stadia exclusive. Like, let's give the guy who made Rick and Morty a bunch of money. All right, sure.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing where it's like, okay, this just tells a little bit more of the story of what was going on over at Google. And like, they were just barely getting maybe some third-party deals in place to present as Stadia like centric games or whatever. And their first-party endeavors are probably so much further off than even like these things.
Sure.
But it's like, yeah. So I mean, we would have got to like this summer. And in a world where Stadia was successful enough that they're like, all right, here's the summer Stadia showcase, it would have like probably had The Quarry and High on Life, and then, probably not much else, maybe a few promises for things to come down the line, and then that's it.
But it is fun because it would have been like, here's like the big showstopper game for the Stadia State of Play, and it's High on Life, whereas
right.
A summer game mess is like, here's this.
Right. And but you could see like the Quarry being something that could take advantage of the Stadia being in the cloud and stuff like that. Because like they're still working on the multiplayer patch for that game so that people can share control of the game like over the internet. But like with the cloud version, like you just have people sign in with their YouTube or whatever. Maybe you could have your audience vote along with you and build that stuff in. And I mean, it makes sense to have something like that, but
maybe High on Life can like use the cloud to add extra stutters into the voice acting, right?
yes, exactly.
Like, geez,
yeah, you really need the power of the cloud to be able to render that.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Halo is Halo Infinite. That's a video game I like, Mike, but it's a game that
we like it too. Gets beat up quite a bit, but me and you are fans.
Yeah, we have fun whenever we play it, but also I understand, we both understand it's a game that does need some help in terms of content. And it sounds like they're going to do a thing where they invite the fans to contribute in a significant way with Forge. Now, they've always done that, but Forge sounds like it's going to have even more features than it's had in the past. This leaked footage shows Halo Infinite's Forge is being used to reinvent guns, not the concept of guns, but guns in the game. This is by
They shoot candy now.
This is by Andy Robinson at VGC. Forge, which allows players to make custom game modes using a suite of tools and scripting options, is due to release at the end of this year as a free update, after it was delayed from the launch of the game. The latest footage, published by Twitter user Rebs Gaming, showing the flexibility Forge offers in modding Infinite's weapons, is showing how people can change the way guns operate. Using the tools, users can effectively transplant one weapon's effects to another, such as by making the Cinder Shot fire rockets or having the Gravity Hammer hit like an energy sword. Community creators are already supplementing games like Flight Simulator, and it seems like it could really help Halo as well. So with Flight Simulator, the core team that works on that, Asobo, not Asobi, right? Team Asobo, they are working on stuff like improving the United States, so that you go fly over Disney and it looks more like Disney, right?
Yeah,
but they are also
the United States.
And yes, finally someone's doing it, Mike. They're improving the United States, and but they're also bringing new planes into the game. But they're not doing both of those things. The core team is mostly working on the updates to the terrain and the geography and the geometry. They then work with community partners who are creating these planes for the game, and then they just pay them some money to bring that content in the game and then sell it and stuff. It seems like maybe Halo could really benefit from something similar if the team could just focus on creating new maps and creating new game modes and stuff like that. That seems like it has the potential to be very they can focus their efforts, and then fans could be doing stuff like coming up with wild game modes and wild new ways to use weapons and stuff like that, and just kind of keeping whatever content 343 is putting into the game feeling fresh. I have I have a video I'll bring in. Let me see here. Oop, I just closed it instead. That's an example of what the thing looks like when people are messing around with this flow chart for the game. Let me see here. Transition. There we go. But yeah, I think it looks pretty intense in terms of the flow chart here, where people can just make a weapon do one thing and then have it do another when you pull the trigger and all this stuff. So it's going to be basically reprogramming the game. And I think they show a little bit of how it works and stuff like that. Is this the kind of thing that as someone who's pretty happy when you're playing Halo, but then when you think about the Halo content, is this the kind of stuff that you feel could help?
Yeah, it's funny because myself, I don't know how much of this I'm going to do. I played a lot of Overwatch, and I was never in its kind of weird custom game stuff that much, right? Even though some people loved it. It does look fun blowing up all these vehicles, though.
Right.
I'm almost just more excited because, this might bring more people into the game.
Right.
Maybe everyone will be happy. It's funny how much it matters, the conversation around a game sometimes, Jeff. Like even Diablo Immortal, which I was actually kind of enjoying fine. But it's just the consensus around it is negative, and now I kind of feel weird playing it, right? So I guess I just want more people to be into Halo Infinite, and I want the conversation to be like, Halo Infinite, they had a problem with content for a bit, but they turned things around because Forge is just so great, and we love going in there and hitting people with banana weapons.
Right. That perception becomes reality, and you're right. The bummer effect can rub off on you when you're oh, hey, should we all get everyone together? And it's well, no, everyone always complains about that. I'm not even going to try to get everyone together to play Halo tonight. And so, yeah, I think if people can have positive feelings, it can definitely help someone. I already enjoy the game, so it's now it's just nice. Okay, everyone seems to be enjoying it again. Let's go get a game night going together. So yeah, I think this tool though looks like it is extremely advanced, and it does look like
it looks very good for that.
It's going to justify not the wait, but once people get their hands on, they'll be like, okay, at least we are getting something that feels substantial in its possibilities. And so it's not going to be like, okay, it's going to come out and be sort of like, oh, this is nothing. Why do we have to wait so long for Forge? At least there will be some new attributes to it that could really unlock creativity in that community, of which it's a well-established community, the Forge community. And a lot of creators there have done a lot of work already. They'll probably be able to like just bring those ideas into this new game and really hit the ground running. Let's see. Okay. Diablo Immortal's Chinese release has been delayed, Mike. This is according to Reuters, and it's most likely due to the official Diablo Weibo account, I believe that's how, which is like a Chinese Twitter, criticizing Xi Jinping, who's the president of China. And this comes from Resetera. Let me read this first line from Reuters.
Why would the official Diablo Immortal account do that? I mean, not that he doesn't deserve criticism, but you would think that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, listen, I think a lot of people deserve criticism, Mike. I am not exactly going to go log into the Giant Bomb Twitter account and start criticizing people using that. But okay, this is from Reuters.
You should, though, if it's for Dan, right? That'd be great,
absolutely,
actually.
yes, definitely. That goes without saying. Like, just eat a fruit once. That goes for you too, though.
Fair.
Internet and gaming giant NetEase delayed the rollout of its video game Diablo Immortal in China 3 days ahead of its official launch. A move that comes just after the game's official account on Weibo was banned from making new posts. Let's see, the social media post, which reads, "Why isn't Winnie the bear going out of office yet?" And of course, Winnie the Pooh is the sort of negative nickname for Xi Jinping, and he really hates it. And people have been criticized and mass reported by people in China for calling Xi Jinping Winnie the Pooh before. The China-based NetEase, which was set to release the game on Thursday, did not provide a new launch date, but said on Sunday it wanted to make changes such as improvements to the gameplay experience and conduct multiple optimization adjustments. This is according to a poster on Reddit, or I'm sorry, on Resetera, who posted this here. There are multiple rumors going around about this. Some people suspect that the Chinese Diablo community mass reported the game to the CCP government for its unfair gambling practices, but I haven't been able to find reliable sources on that. I'm sure we'll know more about this in due time. China's going to be a big audience for a mobile Diablo, Mike. This seems like a problem.
Gosh. Yeah, it's almost more for them than it ever was for us, and it is. Yeah, it's almost hard to believe that we would get the version of the game that had the absolutely ridiculous monetization, and that they would tone it down for China. I know, you always said this before, where their opinion of pay to win isn't like ours, where it's some toxic idea.
Much more tolerable of it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even with Diablo Immortal is a bit much for them. Maybe they're seeing all reports coming out of America, people spending $30,000 or what have you, and not getting those level 5 gems or whatever, and they're like, no, not here, not in China. So yeah, I do wonder, like, is that change actually going to happen? Is that what they're doing? Because if they're talking about, if that language is true, like, or making gameplay changes and balance things, like, what else could it possibly be? It's not like they're tuning DPS numbers before they have to release it there,
right? It's probably like the perfect storm scenario where these two things are happening at once. They can't talk about the game on Weibo, a massive tool for marketing the game, and they're dealing with being banned there. And then on top of that, they have all these complaints for being mass reported for gambling. Allegedly, we don't know if that's exactly what happened, but it seems possible. And so, when we're trying to like suss this out, they're like, okay, let's just pull the plug on trying to launch this right now. Let it cool off, and we'll try again in a little bit. I think this is the kind of thing where, like, if this happened in any other region, this would be like, oh man, that sounds like a massive campaign to pull the plug on, where you're trying to launch this really big game that's going to cost a lot of money. But it's not like there's a lot of other games launching all the time in China. So many games need to get approval that there's like fewer games launching in the mainstream there. And so I wonder if it's a little bit easier if you are one of these companies that does have a massive presence like NetEase to be like, listen, we can wait for this to cool off, relaunch it a little bit later, and we'll be fine. So I wonder if they're like, oh, this is just a strategic maneuver to deal with these negative problems that they need to get past. Mm-hmm. All right, Mike. That brings us to the catch up, where we catch up on the week's discussions from gamers around the world. We try to see what everyone's talking about. We also talk a little bit about what you can expect from gaming in the next few weeks. The big thing here that I put initially is that a lot of evidence is piling up that something is going to happen with Sony news. Tom Henderson, who's a frequent leaker, he has spotted a bunch of circumstantial evidence that he thinks might mean a state of play is coming soon. These things include one of the Gran Turismo producers says that an update on the game is coming next week, and not just like an update in the game, but an update about the game, providing new information about it. Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, meanwhile, said that God of War Ragnarok's release date should be coming later this month. That sounds like right, especially after we've heard that game has been rated in South Korea, and Cory Balrog has posted himself like playing the game on Twitter, so that thing is getting close. And then Sony is going to reveal its PlayStation 5 Pro controller allegedly next week as well. So some things are lining up. I think that there's still a good chance many of these things could be YouTube videos, Twitter posts, blog posts, or something like that, especially after we just had a state of play. But maybe. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it could. At some point, they do something with God of War, I guess, is the one, right? Like you said, like the Pro Controller, a Gran Turismo update, those could be Twitter posts. But God of War, there does have to be something with that. I mean, they did their third-party showcase thing, and that was, good, and it gave spotlight to a bunch of things. But there are still questions about what first party is up to, specifically with that release date for God of War, and what exactly is coming after that and when.
Right. And I think, they could really lay out a compelling thing where it's like God of War Ragnarok is getting a date. Here is a new, expensive, cool controller that you can buy. And, here's like one or two other updates on other games that are at least early next year, or maybe also coming this holiday.
5 minutes in and out, quick state of play, right?
Exactly. Yes, they could really just hit that stuff very quickly, and they know that God of War Ragnarok can be this lightning rod that can attract all these eyeballs. And so why not use that to your advantage? I mean, you already had a very successful state of play for third party earlier this month. You could close out the month with something for first party stuff. It makes all the sense in the world.
Do we still need a release date for the Uncharted stuff on PC also?
I feel like that did get a release date. Uncharted stuff on PC. Let's see if Google.
I know that's one they announced forever ago, and
okay. Can you go to Steam and check and see if it's on there right now? Because apparently it's coming today.
No.
Maybe on Epic. Is it on Epic actually?
Let's see what Steam says. Steam says just release date 2022.
Okay, maybe check the Epic Game Store, because that's what Bing says. And has Bing ever been wrong? Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Epic Games also just says coming soon. So okay. Jeff, I hate to ruin your whole worldview, but I think Bing was wrong.
Wow, this is a garbage website. I'll never use it again. All right. Well, yes. So maybe we get an update on that. Like there's and that's the kind of thing where they've shown they're willing to talk about PC release dates in these state of plays, where I think at one point they were a little bit hesitant about it, and then they looked at the checks they were getting from Steam, and they're like, okay, never mind. Let's just people can get mad at us on Twitter. They can pretend like they care, but really,
they can pretend like this is going to impact their purchasing decisions.
Right.
They want, but yeah.
But we know they're going to keep showing up for our games. So yeah, I mean, like just those few things right there, a little bit of like resetting Gran Turismo. Like there's a few things they could do. So I think. I mean, I'm not against the idea of them doing two state of plays really close to each other, especially if they have like a different focus, third party, first party. Sure. That works really well. And then they could still end up doing in like September, one of their traditional, at least over the last couple of years, one of their traditional PlayStation showcases where they talk about things that are coming far down the line. And that could stand apart as well. Because by then we'll like, God of War should be nearly upon us. Like if that's coming in November, that'll like the marketing campaign will have long started by then. So they could start talking about stuff that's coming up in 2023 and beyond. And I think that would be a good cadence of events throughout this summer to keep people feeling very good about PlayStation 5, even if the people that show up just for first-party PlayStation games are like, well, we're just getting God of War Ragnarok. Well, that's a big deal to them. And then all these other promises come soon after that. That could work. Let's see. Treasure is teasing the return of a big game. This one here, let's just do the Google Translate. Let me transition.
I believe they're finally making a sequel to that McDonald's game.
Yes, that game is the McDonald's game, almost certainly. Let's see, from Twitter on June 9th, and again, this is Google Translate, so we'll do our best. On June 19th, 2022, Treasure Company Limited celebrated its 30th anniversary. This year, the 30th anniversary, we are working hard to announce the highly requested that title. That is in quotation marks. We look forward to your continued support of Treasure. Now, has Treasure released anything in the last few years? I was under the impression they haven't released anything since like 2016.
Their last release was Geist Crusher God from 2014. I don't know what the. I mean, that's the thing. Look, this isn't the Treasure that was making Gunstar Heroes and Dynamite Heady and stuff like that, right? So,
right.
It's hard to get very excited. And again, they say that game like, oh, obviously. I mean, what would that be? I guess I go to Gunstar Heroes first. Are they going to make another one of those sequels? I mean, was it going to be Mission Makers too? Like, what else could we be talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gunstar Heroes is like the one that they really broke on the scene with, obviously. But I don't know. To me, it feels like, especially if this is something that does show up at the Nintendo Direct, part of me thinks it's like a new Sin and Punishment, or not even, maybe just like a package together HD version of Sin and Punishment.
It's going to be Wario World 2.
Yes, that'd be fantastic too.
Maybe Ikaruga too.
Ikaruga. There's like a handful of games. You said it. Gunstar Heroes, Ikaruga, Mischief Makers, maybe not, but like Radiant Silvergun. Yeah. There's like a handful of games that could be that, right, for Treasure. One where they're like the highly requested that title. So I think it's probably going to be one of those three. Maybe Sin and Punishment. So maybe those four. If I had to pick one, I probably would say Gunstar Heroes, though. I think that makes the most sense.
I would boil it down to Gunstar Heroes or Ikaruga myself.
Like Gunstar Heroes makes a lot of sense in the current environment where like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is coming out and doing very well, and we've gotten other sort of 16-bit action games. They are finding their footing again, and you could easily just put out those games with some updates and they would probably do very well. So I mean,
Gunstar Heroes 1 is already
it's perfect good, actually though, yes
right? It's so actually already perfect. Yes. And I know they made a Game Boy Advance sequel that's actually good and whatnot, but still, good luck.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, good luck with this Treasure not being the same Treasure. Yeah, good luck with trying to recapture that magic. Mike, the Final Fantasy Twitter account noted that it's the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy Tactics. And what do you think they did with that information?
Nothing.
Well, they asked who's your favorite character, and then yes, basically nothing.
Rasma.
Yeah,
that's name Rasma. Everything I know about Final Fantasy Tactics is mostly from the Raid series that they did in Final Fantasy 14. I keep waiting for this supposed remake to come out so I can finally play through it. But yeah, that was in the Nvidia leak, right? And pretty much everything else from that has been real. So it's coming at some point, probably. There's still that in that Final Fantasy 9 remake too. So there's more Final Fantasy on the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if this was coming, why not today? Like, I guess because they just did a Final Fantasy 7 anniversary event, maybe. But
I guess which one gets precedence, Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy Tactics?
Of course.
They did announce a lot of Final Fantasy stuff already, so
that's fair.
I could kind of see it there. And again, there's no law that says you have to do this stuff on the anniversary days.
Right, and they could. I mean, and there's probably a lot of partners that would be happy to showcase a Final Fantasy Tactics remake at one of their showcases. So again, this is maybe something that shows up at a Nintendo Direct or somewhere else. I mean, I loved Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and that's where that franchise went on to live, was on Game Boy Advance for a few years after that. So maybe that makes more sense for them. It's like, hey, let's bring that back and on a handheld, because that works really well for this series. So we'll see. I have some questions that I asked the audience, and I put it on Twitter. So let me right there. I just got it already up. Do you download and play any of the E3 game demos? And I guess I'm not too surprised by the results here, but let's see. We had 3,000 votes, and I think this might be how I do it from now on. I just put it on Twitter, but we'll see. 67.8% of people responded with no, and 32.2% said yes, they do play some of these E3 game demos, like the Summer Game Fest or the Xbox Showcase game demo things that are coming up this week, I think. Mike, do these results surprise you that more like around 2/3 of people do not play any of these demos?
No, that seems just about right, doesn't it? Because you imagine most people just not taking the effort. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like even like you like you could like write content about this stuff, and yet you're still busy with other things. Like,
granted, I was also at Play Day, so I got to play demos
right.
there, but I didn't download any demos.
Okay,
And there are games I would have wanted to, because I didn't get to play Hellsinger or whatever at the Play Days. I'm like, I should play that. That looks fun. And I still just didn't do it.
I think the thing is, for me, it's like, I guess I could do a demo, but I think I'm already interested in this thing. And then the ones I'm not interested in, I'm not interested in them. And I'm not necessarily like looking to give them this opportunity to win me over by spending the time to download them and then having to remember to remove them from my hard drive later and this stuff. And I already have a bunch of other games I could be playing. I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I could be playing right now. So why wouldn't I just play that?
I guess like what do you think about the first 30 minutes you have a video game, Jeff? Are you excited to like learn this new video game and be introduced to its world and lore, or do you find that part of a video game the most tedious? Because sometimes I find that part kind of tedious.
Absolutely. I mean, I very well in many cases I do find it tedious. Yeah, not always, but that's when I'm like looking at a potential new game that I'm not sure about. That is what I'm imagining first. It's like, okay, I'm going to be doing this part where I'm learning everything and not exactly feeling competent. And that's not fun, so this wouldn't even be a great impression anyhow. So, yeah.
I like this poll about the best Final Fantasy Tactics character, and apparently it's Ramza, and I said Razma. So there's Ramza and, in quotations, Razma. Now I'm kind of pulling for him.
Thank you, Mods. I appreciate that. You know what? In the responses, a lot of people were saying, I already have a ton of games. I'm just going to play those. And then, a big chunk of respondents that I think said no were like, what E3 game demos? Like, they don't even know about these things.
Yeah.
Like the Steam Next Fest, maybe these are people that don't play on Steam. Maybe they only play on PlayStations, which I don't think has done anything like this, at least not this year. Xbox has something coming up. But like a lot of people are just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even see these things. So, and I think from that perspective, getting 33%, like a third of people, is actually pretty impressive. Like that many people are still seeking these out. Yeah. But also, like, if I were like trying to sell a video game these days, this would stress me out. I'm like, oh man, look at all these people who, like, just don't even care about demos, and we're gonna spend time on this.
Remember when demos were such a big deal still?
Yep.
I mean, the demo disc, and then Xbox 360, we were still downloading a lot of demos. I think BioShock owed a lot of its success to having that really well-received demo, and it was one of the last times you could really say something like that. Like, well, the demo for this game probably sold an extra 1 million copies. Right. Or something.
I think it's the kind of thing where it's like easy to be like, what could fix the demo? What would make more people want to play the demo? And then we come up like, well, you do it from the cloud and it just shows up on your console and it's presented like one of those old DVDs that you got in PlayStation Magazine or whatever. And I think I would like all that stuff, and I probably still would be like, oh, that's cool that it's there, and still not even just click the button to load it up instantly from the cloud. Like, even if it worked flawlessly, I probably still would not engage with that very often, maybe here and there. So yeah, I think the demo is fine. I'm glad that they're doing these things. I did play a few this year, and mostly just because I'm like, oh, what could I play on Giant Bomb and stuff like that? But even still, it was cool. But I get why many people do not. Let's see. We've got to come up with a question for tomorrow, and I'm not exactly sure what I was gonna come up with something, and then I just forgot. But I also was like looking at some of these news stories. What do you think?
You could ask people if they think there's going to be a big Nintendo Direct this month or something.
Yeah, let's say a big Nintendo Direct. So
big in quotations,
right? And
whatever that means to you.
Whatever that means to you, exactly. So I mean, I'm still like on the fence about like big, but I think there's still a chance. Obviously. Nothing they've done so far means that they wouldn't do one. Even having like a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 have its own showcase would not mean that they wouldn't do something separate for all the other stuff coming this year. It's just that game is the next big one that they're really trying to sell right now, so it still makes sense. But
yeah. I remember Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I forget if it had its own direct or something. I just remember there was like that dragon that sounds like a perverted grandpa who talked for a while, and I don't like his voice.
I mean, I think perverted grandpas have wonderful voices, Mike. I don't know what's wrong with you.
No, first he's like big, and then he gets small, and it makes this weird perverted voice even creepier to me, and I don't like him.
All right. Well, let's go back and look at Said Sonic here for a second. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate it, Mike. Why don't you tell people where they can find you? Where can they find your stuff? How can they get more Mike Minotti?
Get more Mike Minotti on Games Beats, which is where I work and write and just have the bestest of times. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Tolkoto, Tolkoto. Jeff and I do our shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. Tuesdays is Last of the 10 Dogs. Thursday is Game Mess Decides. And I do 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. Our interview with Tab Murphy, the writer of a bunch of 90s Disney movies, is up now. We just talked to him about his work on Tarzan. I think we talked about Little Brother Bear stuff too. It wasn't quite 90s, but we figured, what the heck? Because people need more Brother Bear content, Jeff.
I've never seen Brother Bear, but after listening to the interview, Mike, I thought about watching it. It's
just on Disney Plus.
It's probably just on Disney Plus, right? So
yeah.
Do you think my kids would like it?
Yeah, your kids probably like anything, right?
They like all kinds of trash.
That made it sound like Brother Bear's bad. Brother Bear's good. It's
okay.
Good. It's not amazing. It's good.
Yes, fair enough. Giant Bomb this week. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening, everybody. I think later this week we'll be doing 6-player Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles playthrough. Looking forward to that.
Who are you gonna be?
I think I'm probably gonna be Michelangelo, but I don't know how it works because I think we were thinking about going into it blind, and I played the first couple levels on Switch, but I'm gonna switch over to my PC save. If we have 6 players and we haven't unlocked like the extra character, I think there's at least one, Casey Jones. I guess there is 6 characters because there's Splinter and April, right?
Yeah, there are already 6. There's 7 total characters once you unlock, Casey. So
okay. Well, I'm probably gonna be Michelangelo, but maybe I'll play through today and unlock Casey, so I can just have Casey ready to go. Because I like Casey Jones a lot. I also, this is the problem with doing the Monday show. We're going to do the meeting here in a little bit. But I think I'm going to try to get us to play some Fall Guys, a few other things, because that's going free to play this week and it'll be everywhere. I had an idea about that. That one I'll talk about, and then we'll come back tomorrow and I'll see if the idea can work. But we'll probably play some of that. And there's a few other things happening. I think there's a very online show. We'll have a voicemail dump truck, a whole bunch of stuff happening. Be sure to tune in to Giant Bomb. Until next time, though, everyone, take care of yourself. Have a good one, and goodbye.
Bye.
Enjoy your gaming.
Enjoy your gaming.
Enjoy your gaming.
Enjoy your gaming.